Good morning, students. We had in our previous video, we had checked about in some detail about the town of Mari and the important rulers and how the agriculture was done. And today, I think we should be able to finish this chapter. And we start with the topic cities in Mesopotamian culture. Mesopotamians valued city life in which people of many communities and cultures lived side by side. After cities were destroyed in war, they recalled them in poetry. Um, so it clearly gives you an idea that yes, a lot of people knew that they were educated and they knew how to express themselves. Okay, the most poignant reminder to us of the pride Mesopotamians took in their cities comes the end of the Gilgamesh epic, which was written on 12 tablets. Gilgamesh is said to have ruled the city of Uruk sometime after Enmerkar. We had already seen that yes, Enmerkar has been mentioned quite a few number of times, and uh, and after him, Gilgamesh was another ruler of Mesopotamia. But students, this also tells you one thing, which something which I had also mentioned in my previous video. This gives you an idea about how extensively the people of the civilization had documented everything through their tablets, and how easy it is for people like us, even after thousands of years, when these events had occurred, to really get an idea about what all was happening during those times. Unlike in our own Indus Valley civilization, where we keep speculating most of the times, okay, because nothing has been documented with such an attention, and whatever has been, we are unable to read that. Okay, so Gilgamesh, of course, happens to be a very famous ruler of the Mesopotamian civilization. Not much because that he was a great conqueror or a great administrator or something. Of course, he was a good ruler and a very popular ruler, but his fame comes from his real glory comes from his mentioning in the most important epic of those ancient times, which is the Gilgamesh, the story of Gilgamesh, or the epic of Gilgamesh, which is there in 12 tablets. A great hero who subdued people far and wide. He got a shock when his heroic friend died. And who was this heroic friend? His heroic friend, if I remember, was Enkidu. Enkidu, Enkidu. I think that's what should be the spelling. Enkidu has died. Guys, the story is considered to be, people read this story even now. If you go to book libraries, if you go to bookshops, you would always find in some corner of the shop the book, the Epic of Gilgamesh, where it is about, because Gilgamesh was a very powerful, some kind of a Herculean, like Hercules was in the Greek civilization. So naturally, he was also a very powerful ruler of those times, and the gods were angry with him, and the gods had sent the friend that he's talking about, Enkidu. This gentleman, Enkidu, had been sent by the gods themselves to kill Gilgamesh, and Enkidu did have a fight with Gilgamesh, and Gilgamesh had. I had read this story, in fact, when I was in college, um, and Gilgamesh had defeated Enkidu, and after the defeat, Enkidu became a great friend of Gilgamesh. So he almost like he forgot why he had been sent on planet Earth, the main purpose of him being there. Instead of killing his opponent, he became his best friend, and this was something which was never liked by the gods. And then the gods conspired, and then the gods killed Enkidu. Yes, Enkidu was killed by the gods, because gods were really angry that they had sent him to kill Gilgamesh, and instead he became his best friend. And then how Gilgamesh actually gets, extremely saddened by this, and then he ventures out to find the source of eternal life. And that's essentially, it's about, this story is about a bit of adventure, a bit of philosophy, a bit of spiritualism, all combined into one. Okay, the legacy of writing, the next topic, that is. um, what I would say is, yes, the division. This is the most important paragraph of this topic. The division of the year into 12 months, according to the revolution of the moon around the sun. The division of the month into 4 weeks, the day into 24 hours, and the hours into 60 minutes. All that we take for granted in our daily lives today has come to us from Mesopotamian. It is marvelous, right? So something that remains unchanged even till this day was done thousands of years ago by the Mesopotamians. And how it spread around the world, that's what is mentioned here, that uh, these time divisions were adopted by the successors of Alexander, and from there transmitted to the Roman world, then to the world of Islam, and then to the medieval Europe for now. And that is how it spread all around the world, and everyone follows the same structure today. Okay, and 1 minute. Yes, what's the next? Yeah, none of these moments, Mesopotamian achievements, would have been possible without writing and the urban institutions of schools where students read and copied earlier written tablets, and where some boys were trained to become not record keepers for the administration but intellectuals who could build on the work of their predecessors. So, all this that we have studied in this chapter, the elaborate structure that they had of about town planning, whether it is about learning, whether it was about libraries, it was it was in agriculture, the system of writing, documentation, everything. Now, it is very evident this, none of this would have been possible had the literacy rate of the people in Mesopotamian civilization had not been high, where the institutions were not strong. Definitely, the institutions must have been very strong, that they were able to churn out the intelligent people within the community all the time, and they were able to patronize intelligent men among their republic, I'm sorry, among their empire. And that is how the civilization prospered. It was not just an agricultural civilization where they were just growing crops and feeding themselves and staying alive. Okay, so it was not about a sustenance agriculture at all. They definitely wanted to know about the higher things in life, something more advanced, something which was more, which gave them more knowledge, and which gave them more insight. Okay, students, this is a very important box, and an early library. The Mesopotamian library is considered, or basically the library at Babylon was considered to be one of the earliest libraries. Okay, the yes, the great Assyrian kings who had been immigrants acknowledged the southern region Babylonia as the center of high culture, and the last of them, Assurbanipal, collected a library at his capital. Okay, he made great efforts to gather tablets on history, epics, Omen, literature, astrology, hymns, and poems. He sent his scribes south to find old tablets, because scribes in the south were trained to read and write in schools where they all had to copy tablets by the dozen. There were towns in Babylonia where huge collections of tablets were created and acquired fame. And although Sumerian ceased to be spoken after about 1800 years before Christ, it continued to be taught in schools through vocabulary, texts, sign texts, bilingual Sumerian and Akkadian tablets, etc. So even in 650 years before Christ, cuneiform tablets, that is, the wedged tablets, written as back as 2000 years before Christ, were intelligible. Now, students, as I just said, the library of Babylon, which was patronized by Assurbanipal, is considered to be one of the legendary libraries of all time, and it is, it is said that any ship that used to dock in the empire of and in the ports of the Mesopotamian Empire, the officials were under strict instructions from if the ships used to come from different lands, faraway lands, and the, the officials were under instruction to ensure that if they found tablets, if they found some written material, they should copy those materials. And in this paragraph it is written, of course, that they used to copy those materials, but the interesting part is not mentioned here. Just imagine how fanatical and how keen they were about the gathering more and more knowledge from around wherever it came from. So what they used to do was they used to copy the tablets or anything which was literature, which used to come, which used to be found in different ships that used to dock in their ports. They used to note them down. They used to have many people who would note those down in their tablets, and those duplicate tablets, the duplicate tablet was given back to the ship. The original one was always taken and submitted in the library of Babylon. Okay. That's how interesting and fascinating it is. They used to copy them, of course, but the duplicate one used to be given to the captain of the ship or whoever was there in the ship, and the original one was sent to the library. So that is how keen they were about knowledge and acquiring more and more knowledge. Okay. uh, so I think that is. I think that's oh yeah, and early archaeologists, guys. This is something which you should also read certain things. Just read this, and this is about how archaeologists and how archaeology has been important, and how we have come to know about a lot of things that we have come to know from the archaeological findings from that time, even after the Achaemenids of Iran conquered Babylon, and until 331 Alexander conquered Babylon. Guys, read this on your own. We have finished this chapter, and I will be giving you the questions on this today, and please go through this chapter. Okay, and next video we would be starting the new chapter. Thank you.